Alright, we are recording another cover impressions video because it's April now. So, yeah, let's get to it. See what, oop, that wasn't the right one. That's the one I wanted. Let's see what the, different stores are pushing for books at the moment. And let's actually pause it there because our April picks. What have we got here? Can I open it up like this? Because, I mean, I normally go through here, but it's like, you know what? Since it's showing us right there, why don't we take a look at this too? Yeah, sure. King of Ashes. That might be interesting. Okay, let's do those two. Close that. Gruffalo Granny? Alright, fine. Um, okay. You know what? Yeah, this is... Okay, I'm curious now. I'll just hit that. But I do just want to quickly... Hang on, what time is it? 1:16. Okay. Oh, 1:16. For Project Hail Mary. I'm pretty sure I already looked at a Project Hail Mary cover before, but it's just I like that cover. I've not seen the movie, I've not read the book, but it's just I have no idea if the context of this is right, but I like this. I do. It they could have had it continuing out a little bit further, but this actually looks like a I want to say X-ray, but it isn't necessarily. But there are images of the sun that, when you focus down to the right part of the spectrum, that is what it looks like. So I do actually like that. That's really, I like that better than... It's going to be this one? Yeah, I like it better than this. I mean, this is still a good cover, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure I did talk about this and said that I liked it. But it is just, seeing the... to me, that's immediately recognizable as an actual image of the sun. How it's, project, and then Hail Mary. I actually really do like the construction of that, but not focusing on that. I just really want to look at something. Okay, 25th anniversary. That explains it. Because they're not necessarily okay. For some of them, they would be the first edition. I'm not sure if that would have been it, but that's the same cover for my copy of Harry Potter, and it was just a. Wait, I thought they moved away from that cover, but 25th anniversary. Yeah, that makes sense. Although that really came out in 2001. I thought it was in the 90s. Whatever. Maybe there's something else going on there. Whatever. But yeah. So this, I'm not going to I'm not going to talk about Harry Potter. It was just that's the cover. I thought they moved away from that. Okay, so let's look at this next one. King of Ashes. It is 318. Oh, 318. King of Ashes, a novel by S.A. Cosby. Alright, so looking at this... Block that. Okay, so that's interesting. So first things first. The immediate, when looking at the image, I was thinking actually like a volcano, because it was kind of a... I just want to make sure the cursor is showing up here, right? No, I guess not. There is kind of a triangular shape here with, it going to a point, like I would expect for a volcano, and it's like, you've got the deeper red below, and then above where it says king, it's lighter. So again, that was making me think of volcano and explode, an eruption there. That's what I was thinking, but once it zoomed in, I'm now seeing, it's a little hard to tell because of where of and ashes are. Oh, you are seeing my cursor, okay. Yeah, so you've kind of got, one side of the mountain here, another there. But these are railroad tracks right here, leading there. So it could still be to something like an explosion, King of Ashes. That does make you think of fire there. But it now makes me wonder if this is something... It does say it's a novel, so it would have to be fiction. But it does make me wonder if this is potentially about somebody on a train, like when the engineers that... Oh, I just realized we had to put this on. That works at feeding the coal or wood into the furnace for the boiler. Because yeah, I mean, you can also use wood. Coal would be better because it's gonna be more energy dense. But wood certainly is more reliable in a situation like that, because if you have to, you can stop the train, go off, and get some wood and put it in there. All right, so let's read this now. Edge of you see thrills and spills of blood, an action-packed high-octane quest for vengeance, and a family up against the mob. Okay, I mean, I'm sorry, but seeing the railroad ties there, railroad tracks, really makes me think, like, 1800s. And the mob I tend to associate with early 1900s. So, let's keep reading. Do not care. I'm sorry, I don't care about the short things out of New York Times or Washington Post or anyway, because it's like they're being either selected to be especially positive, or they were just written to be of little substance, just hype. So it's, yeah. When eldest son Roman Carruthers is summoned home after his father's car accident, he finds his younger brother Dante in debt to dangerous criminals and his sister. Okay, so car accident, that also would establish this is 1900s, not 1800s. Yes, car is derived from carriage, but if you're talking about, carriage accident, you would refer to it as carriage. At least that's how I would always do it. To dangerous criminals and his sister, Nevaeh, exhausted from holding the family and the family business together. Nevaeh, what is the family business? Nevaeh and the father who run the Carruthers crematorium in the rundown... Okay, I got a problem with this, but I'll keep going. In the rundown Central Virginia town, Justin Run, see death up close every day. But mortality draws ever closer when it becomes clear that the crash that landed their father in a coma was no accident. Dante's recklessness has placed them all in danger. Okay, she might be good at organizing the business, but if this is going to be small, a small family-run funeral parlor and crematorium, you need to be able to pick up and move bodies around. Some women can do that, not necessarily many. So, yeah, no, that's just, are we talking girl boss here? And it's like, I'm not interested in that, so. Anyway, Roman, a financial wizard with a head for numbers and talent for making his clients rich, has some money to help buy his brother out of trouble. But in his work with wannabe tough guys, he's found that there are real gangsters out there. As his bargaining chips go up in smoke, Roman realizes that he has only one thing left to offer to save his brother, himself, his own particular set of skills. Begins his work for the criminals while Nevaeh tries to uncover the long-ago mystery of what happened to their mother who disappeared. What the hell? To the mother who disappeared when they were teenagers, but Roman is far less of a pushover than the gangsters realize. He's willing to do anything to save his family, anything, because everything burns. I don't like a lot of this. Okay, so first, coming back to this, what does the railroad tracks have to do with any of that story? That right there's no connection that I can see between the blurb and this cover, which is never good. Here, let me also just takes this cue for, okay. I've not read the book that The Godfather was based, and I don't remember if the book is actually named The Godfather or not, but I've not read the book. I have seen Godfather 1 and 2, and I'll be honest, I can recognize the good movies. They don't connect with me, though. So, okay, yeah. There are other movies that connect with me far more. Yeah, so, anyhow. But it's just, thinking about that, okay, that's fine. But The Godfather is still very strongly, it's about the father and son relationship, for my memory, and it's been years, of Vito and, crap, I'm blanking on his name. I am so sorry, for who is actually the main character. Let me just look it up. But it's just, it's very focused on that, for my memory, at least for the film. and Michael. Okay. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is... Hang on, where is it? Oh, yeah, this. It's like, why is this now a thing? If it were just about Roman, then it's like, okay, I get you trying to relate it to The Godfather. That makes sense. You know, him, like, picking up the story with The Godfather at Michael's return. And potentially him, you know, having actually been kept clean and not being associated with business at all prior to his leaving to Greece. Was Greece, wasn't it? Was it just to Italy? What? Maybe, was his first wife, was she Greek? There was something Greek there, even though, yeah, they're Italian. It's been too long since I've seen it. It didn't really connect with me, so it's not like I'm going to go watch it again. At least not at the moment. But still, it's like, we're getting this. It's like, why do we need this story? Why do we need this? Is it about, are we following Roman, or are we following her? It's like, oh yeah, let's just throw another paragraph talking about this. It's like, why is this necessary? I just, it feels like we're jumping around, and also, I'm already a little uneasy about the possibility of this being, of this character, rather, being a girl boss. Giving her own adventure in there, it's like, yeah, I'm feeling like that's what's going to happen in there. I mean, Roman's storyline may be great, but it's like, why do we need this then? And also, I mean, in a way, you could even make an argument. Roman, a financial whiz with a head for numbers, why... It would make more sense to a degree. He's the one that's actually running the business, because he physically may have the capability of putting the bodies in the crematorium, or rather, well, yes, because you still need to put the bodies into the box, put it all into the furnace, which that you'd likely, you know, put on rollers, slide that all in, close the doors, turn on the jets, and, you know, wait and all that. But still, that requires a lot of physical labor that she most likely would not be capable of. However, for running the business, she could have the perfect mind for it, which would be the whiz for numbers. So it just, yeah, and then, well, it wouldn't really matter which one it would fall down to, but it could still be she's the one that comes home and has to take care of things. Like, she was off. It could even be that, where it's like, hey, the sons, because this is physical, this is manual labor, the sons stay and work at the business. They don't get the opportunity to go out, but she's not going to be as much use physically around there. But if she can be sent off to be educated, now when she comes back, well, when she's finished being educated, there can be two things, or even three things, because it could be she went off, got educated, and also got married. So now she doesn't need to come back home. She has her husband, she has her own life. Good for her. Or she comes back and is either they're going to start running the business, contributing in her own way, or she maybe starts running the business, maybe not, but does something else local. And so keeps the family near each other, but she's the one who, okay, that's like the future of the family. That's how things are going to improve, while the sons, no, they're the ones that are continuing the tradition. You could do that. Instead, it seems like it's a little flippy. I don't know. I am concerned here that it's just, the seeds are laid here, I feel, for a girl boss, and I'm not interested in that stuff. I'm sorry. And it's also like, fine, he's a financial whiz and is going to be able to, you know, get the crematoria, crematorium, which it's also a little odd to me. Maybe, although no, that's fair. I think it is actually historically. It would depend on when this is set, but I think that there actually had been a time where you would see funeral parlors. They did not do. They didn't have crematoria. They didn't have crematorias. They did not cremate your body. You went somewhere else for that. I think it is a more modern thing that they're unified now. I want to say that it is more modern, because the furnace, that's very specialized equipment. So you would see people that traditionally, yeah, we would have funeral parlors and we're putting you in the ground because that's what we do. We manage the property and all that. But that, I think, over time, because there was definitely consolidation, as weird as it seems, because it is a everybody dies sometimes. These are services you need. But there also has become a fear of death that didn't used to exist. Not in the way it does. I mean, no one wanted to die, but there was a far greater acceptance that, yeah, that's going to happen. But that changed and shifted more towards a fear of death. That you would then see things like, yeah, that there would be less interest. But somebody wouldn't want to work at their family funeral home because it's the weird, icky job. It's like, it's a very important job, and in some cases can be of deep, deep dignity. Because it is the final presentation and celebration of a person's life. And also does remind me, when my grandmother, one of them, one's still alive, the other passed some years ago. One thing that was really neat is, so she was in the Navy, and they, when going through, by they I mean my extended family that still lived by my grandmother, me and my family, we moved when I was about 1 year old. Anyway, one of the things that was found was like her old uniform, and it was like, yeah, we would like this displayed. And the funeral home director, who, by the way, it was a family-owned business, so it's actually like his father buried my grandfather. So this grandmother's husband had actually buried him, and still remembered it, because I mean, it was an odd day. But anyhow, that was before I was alive, but I've heard the stories. But the funeral director actually, because she was a veteran of World War II, to be clear, to be more specific there, was like, you know what? This needs to be dry cleaned. That we're going to take on that cost ourselves. And it's just, yeah, I mean, it's like, because that, to show respect, show dignity to my grandmother, to the person who died, to their service, and also to the family. So it is that shift towards a fear, because then it's like, you can't even necessarily have that dignity expressed anymore, because, oh no, we're not supposed to talk about death. It's like, no, we're here to celebrate their life. Yes, it is because they have died. Everyone will, but that's anyway. Coming back to this, there's also this, but Roman is far less of a pushover than the gangsters realize. It's like, what is he gonna do? Because if you're gonna tell me he's gonna start fighting them, no, just no, because it's. He's the financial wits, right? He's intelligent. So are the gangsters. But if it's more something like they are, okay, you could pay us, but you know what? You're really good with numbers. We want you working for us. We want you to be the one laundering our money, essentially. Well, it could be Shawshank Redemption at the end, that he's the one that has the books. He knows where all the money is. They don't necessarily know where all of it is. But it's also, he may be keeping those records. And then be like, I'm going to turn it all over. It's like, keep it in his strength there. If he's having to get, if this is like, oh, he's going to get into a fight or something, it's like, no. Let him just be the whiz kid that thinks his way through this. Okay? Because it's just far less of a pushover. It's like, that to me at least, and I can understand that I can be wrong here. But to me, a pushover, well, to use the term pushover does suggest to me something physical there. Rather than, no, he's like, they think they can get away with anything with him, as opposed to recognizing that, wait, especially because when you think about it, we're bringing you into the organization because there's a skill you have we want. By the way, we think we don't need to respect you. We think we can just push you around. It's like, that's very stupid. Anyway, yeah, I do not know what we could be looking at here. No. Okay, those are all just tributes to it. Okay. But yet, there is nothing here interesting to me. Now, true, I can't guess at what's actually in the book accurately. I can't do that accurately, but I would just say, concerning you can't use this cover, in my opinion. It makes no sense. Why is there railroad ties when we're talking about, it's a crematorium? Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense to me. So, new cover, that's inescapable. Or you change the blurb so it makes some sense. So I would say that, as far as how I would change this. The other is, in fact, probably just this whole thing here you can drop. Maybe keeping some aspect of this, but like we would, but the whole, it's like, what is this about? Why would that matter? It's where is this? And suddenly we're talking about the mother. It's like, okay, she could have just, it's like, because she disappeared and they don't know why. It's like, she could have just died. He came back home because of this father's car accident. It's like, okay, cool. The mother could still be alive and just doesn't run the business. It's like, is the matriarch, but that's not true. What I'm getting to is that she isn't prepared to assume the role. That would have to be Roman or the brother Dante. That they're the ones that have been raised to take over, not her. And so it's like, needs help. Or she's died. She died already. Maybe the father is a widower. It's like, this is just, and then there's this. It's like, what is this for? Yeah. So no, I got no interest in this. All right. 2119. A storybook ending, a novel. Okay. This is very separate. But I'm gonna ask a question anyway. Is anyone else finding, just in general, the whole having to write a novel at the end, these things a little annoying? It's fine to mark it somewhere to identify that, hey, this is fiction, and is... Actually, I'm not sure if there's any other qualifier for what a novel means besides being fiction. In theory, there's, length, but again, I don't really care. I guess if it's a complete story, because sometimes with novellas, they can be so short, and it's really about one idea, but it's not really exploring the setting, exploring the world. It's just very short, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can understand that. A novel I'd expect to be complete, but just, I don't know, just storybook ending, a novel. Is that actually the title for it? Well, kind of, I guess it's been in there, but anyhow, let's take a close look at this. All right. It's just a kind of storybook, drawing of a library. We've got, the shelves there, the various books on them. I feel like the shelves would actually need to be a little thicker to support them on both sides, but anyway. That, desk there, it's a little curious that we've only got 2 people here. There's no one monitoring the desk, but... Okay, it's... All I would guess... Okay, well, hang on. Because it is 2 people here, man and woman, entitled Storybook Ending, my guess is this is going to be some sort of romance story where the 2 meet in library, or just the library is their connection, what has brought them together. So let's read. And hey, that's fine. Nothing wrong with a story like that. What starts as an unconventional love triangle? Well, shit. Takes a heartwarming turn when a sweet note meant for the charming bookstore employees ends up in someone else's hands. Okay. Charming story about friendship, community, and the magic that happens in bookstores. Okay, so it's a bookstore, not a library. Which again, why would you not have somebody... Actually, no, this is lousy for a bookstore. Because, somebody could easily just take a book and run. It's consistent. Anyhow, charming story about friendship, community, and the magic that happens in bookstores when an anonymous note left in a book finds the wrong recipient. April, a smart and lonely tech worker, worries work from home has gotten out of hand. She's left an anonymous note in a book for Wesley, the clerk at the Seattle neighborhood bookstore, who has a gentle smile and looks great in flannel. I'm sorry, that whole sentence is just making me be like, oh, God. Is this... What I think it's autofiction is the term for it. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but autofiction is... it's not that, you made a self-insert in your story. No, the character, the whole story is just you, inserting yourself into a fantasy and just writing it all out. And it's just April, a smart and lonely tech worker. It's oh dear God, It's like we're starting off with, oh, she's so smart, and she's probably quirky too, but she's oh so lonely. It's like, then go outside, okay? Look, technically, I'm a smart and lonely tech worker, and I know some of that is my fault because I don't go outside. My hobbies are basically all right here. My hobbies are doing things like sitting here with the mic there, the camera there, and talking about this stuff that doesn't get me outside interacting with people. That's on me. I know that. But it's just, come on. Oh, jeez. Left an anonymous note in a book for Wesley. The look at her Seattle neighborhood books, and it's like, oh god, you're in Seattle too. I mean, it just, this first sentence is, and he looks great in flannel too. It's just, it screams to me, this is for, this book is meant for women live in the Seattle area, Portland area, LA, San Francisco, New York, Boston, maybe. It's like, it's for them with a specific political mindset that they are alone. They maybe have cats with them. They will read the book to the cat. It's like, he's just screaming to me. That's what's going on here. And it's one sentence. Thanks to fate, Laura, a busy single mom who'd given up on love, buys the book, finds the note, and thinks Wesley has left it for her. Of course. And again, it's like a busy single mom who'd given up on love. Again, that sounds very much like April here, where it's just that there's going to be so many women that, it's like, this is who it's for, this is who it's to be read by, kind of thing. And I'm also thinking, and Wesley is just there, it's like, oh shit, why is this happening to me? Why? I mean, say, even it's like, look, you're both really nice, but just come and talk to me. Stop doing this note stuff, okay? It's very confusing. And it's also, what kind of note is this? Because, I'm sorry, there's a good chance, like on average, men have masculine handwriting, women have feminine handwriting. Like, you wouldn't pick up a note from April and think, oh, Wesley wrote it, if it is handwritten. Even in print, there's still going to be signs that it's a masculine versus a feminine hand. So yeah, it's just, now if it were typed out, then obviously you wouldn't know. But even then, the language may give it away. Anyhow. And Wesley is a handsome man who loves books. Seems like it just plot twist. Wait, what? It's not for her. A handsome man who loves books seems just like the plot twist she has been looking for. Okay, so it's still from the point of view of Laura. Got it. I mean, meanwhile, Wesley, not the most perceptive. Okay, let me just stop there and point something out. That's just men. Okay? And it's also not true. We do perceive many things, but something like this, what I said a little bit ago, kind of joking, is also very true. In a situation like this, April, just say something to him, okay? Don't do this hidden note thing, okay? That's stupid, okay? Stop. Don't try to apply feminine logic, feminine thinking to men, okay? We're not going to perceive that. Right? We're not going to pick up on that because that's not how we're wired. Talk to us. Not the most perceptive. Yeah, not the most perceptive according to who? According to a woman, maybe. But he might be amazingly perceptive for everything else. Like, he might be, when he's in that bookstore, he is looking around and he can tell when somebody walks in the door, might know immediately, that dude's here to rob me. Might know that immediately. But also might be okay, somebody's just walked in. I can tell with one look, I know exactly what kind of book they're looking for. So if they come and say, where is this? They don't even need to open their mouth. If they just look at me with a question in their eye, it's like, Westerns are over there, or romance is over there, fantasies over there, just knows immediately. And by the way, that's not insane. When I worked as a math tutor, I could tell when somebody walked in the room. And it wasn't necessarily how they were walking, but the energy around them, just how they looked, how they came, could tell immediately, okay, that person, I'm going to need to go over and help. It was like, they need help. And I might even be able to tell that's a hand holder even. Okay. It was not just they need me to like come over and like, okay, yeah, get them going, but then they'll be going, then they'll be fine on their own. Not even like that. But a hand holder is a no. You need to go step by step by step on every single thing, and you cannot leave them. You cannot go and work with anyone else. But you can also see, you just you walk in there and what's happening. It might be, oh, they don't need me. They need a place to sit down, and if they have a question, they'll just be like, hey, can you come over here? What? Sure thing, come on over. Like, that's very perceptive. Okay, that would be a very perceptive person, very good at that job. But to a woman, not necessarily perceptive. So it's like, on the one hand, yes, men are not perceptive, but in the way women think. But for other things, oh yeah, obviously. Too distracted by the movie filming at the store and the ambition it's unlocked him to notice either the two women. Oh my god. The reason my head is in my hand is because of because the movie at so everyone is having their dream. He is having this amazing moment of, oh my god, there's actually, filming being done here. I'm getting this attention. Isn't that great? Sorry, I just want to make sure that what the test system, the television right there isn't going to start making noises or anything. So it's like, so he's got that. So it's like, he's thinking like, damn, I might be able to get, even if it's a small thing. Like, imagine if I could be a writer, a Hollywood writer or something like that, and then I can meet a starlet. Meanwhile, there's April, who's like, oh, he's so wonderful. I really wish I could spend time with this man who's right. And Laura's like, oh my god, I didn't think that I could ever find love because all my focus has to be on my child, which, by the way, no mention of how old the child is, at least not yet. But it's like, but no, it looks like he's interested in me. It's like, they're all just, oh, well, here's something good, It's all like fantasy wish fulfillment stuff. And I get the whole, building up so that then you can break them down and give them truth. I get that. But it's still, I'm just thinking of that autofiction stuff, that this is basically people trying to write themselves into the fantasy that they want to have. But the danger with autofiction is that you might not actually have it ever achieved truly in there, because maybe you don't break it down. Maybe it is just things go well. And it's like, yeah, but now there's no journey. Right? It's just, hey, things were awesome for you. And just, yeah. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. But as April and Laura's anonymous correspondence continues back and forth, their mundane routines are challenged, sparking a glimmer of hope. Is a happy ending in the cards for them. They're talking only to each other. He has no idea what's going on. As far as that happy ending kind of goes, no. But it's also, why are you... See, this is also... Okay, at this point, if Wesley is there, and if he's constantly seeing, like, why are these two women, like, they're always going over to the same book section, and they'll, like, look at the same book, it's like... He should be noticing that. That should be part of his job. But it would almost be a, hey, Laura? Yes, Wesley? What is it? I think, can you come in at this time? Why? There's another woman. She constantly comes in and is like going to the exact same books as you. Her name is April. I think you two should meet. I think you two might get along well. Because, I mean, clearly you have the same interests. That would be him being good at his job. And it's just like, you do that. And then it could be, that could actually be really funny, where he's just, a normal store worker, and then it's like these two meet, and then it's like, wait, we were writing to each other this entire time? Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Oh, I'm so sorry too, but it, was really helping with me. Oh, it was helping me too, because it's like, do you actually like these books? And it's like, do that, and then it's like, I don't know what they would end up doing to Wesley, but they could end up doing something to Wesley that would actually be a little funny. But it's like, this... I don't like any of this, and also I just realized this is no third person. Like, if you're gonna have it be a love triangle, then put a third person in here, in the cover. But it's just, it feels too much. This is unrealistic for all three of them. It feels like it's self-indulgent. That it's like, I don't know who Moira Macdonald is, and so I cannot make any assumption there. But it does almost feel like maybe she just knows somebody who is April. Maybe she knows somebody who is Laura. Maybe she knows somebody who is Wesley, and it's just inventing this story around them, giving them what they want, and it's just, I'm not that interested in that. Anyway. Heartwarming web of mistaken identities and serendipitous encounters. Storybook ending is a playful tribute to friendship, love, stories of all kinds, and to the objects from a forgotten slip of paper to someone's heart, left between the pages of books we love. How about of books we love? Just don't need the D. Get rid of that. I want to quickly see something. Give me a moment. Okay, I have not touched this book for a very long time. Author, book 1, The Seeing Stone. Okay, right here. By Kevin Crossley Holland. This is 344 pages long. Okay, just to help give you a sense of this. That thing is 320. So this is slightly thicker. Slightly, okay? I'm hoping it's large print, or it is a very small, what's it called? Trim. That the actual, size of the book is small, because, holy crap, I don't think I could go for a story like this 320 pages. I don't think I could read that far. The impression I'm getting off this is 100 pages, maybe. This should be pretty small. And maybe it is a physically small book. I don't... Okay, hang on. It does give us dimensions there. 5.5, 5.2 by 8. Oh, That would be to 8 inches. This is actually, the width is right. Technically this is a little thicker. It's a little thicker than 7/10 of an inch. But this is only about 7.5 inches tall. So add another half inch to the height of this. Yeah, no, whoa. For those people that read it, I hope you love it. But this... It already would seem like this is a book I would personally not be interested in, I would personally not be connected to. But then it's that long. I could never do this book. I could not read this book. I'm sorry. I hope it's a great book. I do. I hope all these are good books. But whoa, I don't know how you could do 320 pages on this story. I really don't. Because this should be... the thing with a lot of love stories... Well, romance stories, if I want to put it that way. Romantic comedies. Is that they're actually pretty simple. They're fairly straightforward. They don't have to be really complex. I mean, we're not talking like a gothic novel, right? That in some cases can span generations within the story. Okay, but something fairly more straightforward. You can absolutely do that. But the straight... Okay, the absolutely do that is a little bit of a non sequitur. You can do... When you have a romantic comedy, because everybody understands romance, right? Everybody understands either being in love or the desire to be in love. So you don't really need to spend too much time setting some of it up. Okay, you don't need to linger on certain things as long, because you're not having to tell people something they don't already know. So I don't see, and even with 3 people, I don't see how you'd make it this long. Because I mean, it's like, how can you actually have the miscommunication going long enough for this to make sense? I do not know. I truly do not know how. But hey, if this is the kind of story that targets you, I hope you enjoy it. I really do. This is... So much of this is just red flag to me that I truly doubt I would have any interest in it myself. I truly do. But aside from the whole risk of it being some kind of... Not actually, but something where it is almost autofiction, just self-indulgent, that doesn't have to be the case. If we set that aside, there is nothing here telling me this is a book to avoid. It's just, there's no way I'm going to be interested. That's all I can take away from it. And if it's not self-indulgent, then no, I could see this being actually, I could believe that it's a good book. I can absolutely believe that if you're just in the audience that this kind of book is for, this kind of story is for, I could see it being very good. I truly can. It's just, it is a thick book for what that story is. Here, to help put it in further context, failure is, crap. Now, I just looked at it because I was going to grab that, but then I saw this was closer. It's, well, here, let me just do it this way. That's, there. Failure is 100,000 words long, 103,000. But is like 380 pages, I think, when I grabbed that. And that's, is that 5x8? That might be 6x8. Might be 6x, no, maybe it is 5x8. So that would mean that this story is potentially on the order of just, like, still over 90,000 words. That's a fairly long story, especially for a love story. So yeah, I don't think I could read it. I really don't think so. So yeah, let's just move on to this one. And it is 4130. Alright. Gruffalo Granny. Which, I'll be honest, part of the reason why I clicked on this one when I was first, opening up the tabs is just the whole, it does kind of remind me of old storybooks that would have read when I was that high. Just the art style here. Yeah, so it looks like we've got 3 generations here. The granny here being the one sitting down here, the oldest of them. This being the father, and this being the grandchild. Do you also notice we got? Yeah, I guess it would be a mouse, large kind of mouse there. They're all anthropomorphized. The family definitely appears to be some kind of monster, a Gruffalo. What is? So just the kneecaps on the father here they look weird. I don't know why. But with their smiles, and I'm not saying this at all as a kind of insult, but they seem a little dopey looking. Just mainly it's because of the teeth. Mainly it's because of how the teeth are, and also how it's like they don't have eyelids either. It makes them look a little dopey. Look at me. It looks like this is meant for kids. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah. Let's actually read this. Let's read the blurb. Race readers back to the beloved quirky world of the Gruffalo. Okay, so we've had Gruffalos before. Silly and sweet, get ready to meet Gruffalo Granny in this delightful celebration of family. And first one in 20 years to meet Gruffalo Granny, okay. It's visiting the Gruffalo family in this brand new Gruffalo story. Gruffalo said to his daughter one day, your Gruffalo Granny is coming to stay. Okay, so it is a granddaughter. Lively rhymes. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I don't like the blurb. For one very, very specific reason. It tells me nothing. It is completely working off of, hey, you already know what the Gruffalo stories are. So there's no actual introduction to this story beyond just your Gruffalo Granny is coming to stay. And it being a rhyme there, but it's like, yeah, give me a little bit more. Give me a little bit more. It doesn't have to be much. It truly doesn't have to be much, but give me a little bit more. Give me something so it's not just a, hey, you know the Gruffalos, you love the Gruffalos. Well, here's a new one for the first time in 20 years. It's like, yeah. Okay, just for curiosity. Okay, yeah, so, I mean, I'm not reading it, but it just, a mouse is taking a stroll. I don't even need to read further than that. This is actually giving me an introduction to the story. And that's what I mean. And see, it even looks like that's the same mouse. And it did say it looked like a mouse. I was thinking it wasn't a rabbit because the ears would be different. But it's like, okay. See, I'm saying that's what I want here. Give me an introduction. Give me a reason to be interested in this story as opposed to just, oh yeah, if you like this series, here's another one. I don't know the series. Tell me about this book. Then I'll decide on the series. So, yeah. All right. Well, that one was short. 5. Let's look over here, and I also just realized, why am I putting in the time? I don't know that yet. Sure, let's go with that. That one might be interesting. Let's go with that one too. I'm the Dispossessed, and with that I'm kind of curious as to what the genre is even going to be there. Okay. Alright, so now we'll look at this. So 45, 50 or so. There. Oh, okay, that's nice. It's available for super points. Alright, let's take a closer look at the cover here. There is no antimemetics division. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. I don't see and use the term menetics enough in life. I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah, there is. Wait, hang on. Okay, definition. Apparently it has other uses and meanings. Yeah, that's an N there. Well, fine. Ah, memetics. If it were an M, I mean, I guess it kind of, it's a weird font. But then it would be the meaning of memetics is a study of memes. How to use memetics in a sentence. Okay. But it is still with this font, because it is kind of a alien text-ish font. And this very odd obelisk thing there that's dark but has these scratches on it, and it's huge. Immediately I was thinking, okay, this looks like it's some kind of science fiction story, which menetics, I was thinking memory already, but it's like if it is memetics, there is no antimemetics division, then it's like, okay, this actually makes a lot of sense for science fiction, because memes, I'm trying to remember what the original definition was when the guy came up with it. And because when the guy came up, memes as a term, as a word, did not evolve in the most natural of ways, where it's like, somebody just needed a term to express something. No, it was like legit. My understanding for its origin was a dude literally was just here's the term meme, this is what it means. Like, just defined it in the text he was working on. So it was never like a just kind of word that, yeah, that sounds right, and then you figure it out, and no, it started with a firm definition. It has changed some, but it's essentially a quantum of culture, I think is a way to put it, where it is a small fraction of the culture that is immediately recognizable to members of the culture and carries some meaning to it. Today, I'd argue a lot of memes today do not necessarily carry much culture, but that's it depends. It still is that they carry they do carry some culture, because a good meme template, it's expressing something that everyone is familiar with. So, like, one example would be, it is technically a meme, even though it's not visual, would be as you wish. Like, for a lot of people, you say that, depending on the context, and they'll be like, immediately know, oh, that's a reference to The Princess Bride. I'm just trying to think of any other examples that would be vocal, verbal, not image-based. But it is also, there's auditory ones. Like, I remember when I first saw Godzilla -1 in the theaters, and the moment started hearing, we typically know it as the Godzilla theme, but it's technically not. The theme was originally meant for the humans fighting against Godzilla, but it became attached to the monster itself. And it's like, the moment I heard it, I just started smiling, because, like, it's already an enjoyable and good movie. then it's like you got that in there, and it's like, yes, I the connection there is kind of there. But anyway, so an anti-memetics division, in theory, would be about trying to control the culture. Would be about either trying to remove elements from the culture to control it, or to manipulate them so that you always think one way. So I could definitely see it being kind of like a 1984 type thing. But anyway, let's read this. Let's read this, because all I really know for certain is this absolutely seems to be a science fiction story. So, all right. Humanity is under assault by malevolent anti-memes, ideas that attack memory, identity, and the fabric of reality itself. Okay. I just want to quickly attack memory, identity, and not so much fabric of reality itself, but memory and identity memes, yes, they're about culture. They are like quantum of culture. Well, a quanta of culture. So the idea of anti-memes and doing that's actually kind of accurate. I don't think it's necessarily perfect, but it is thoroughly aligned with it. So yeah, I'm good with that so far. In this whip-smart tale of science fiction horror, an entirely reimagined and expanded version of the beloved online novel. Okay, so apparently this already existed? Utterly okay, I don't care. Although I will say this is dazzling, confusing. I can't recommend enough. That, when I do my recommendation stuff, that would be fall into the category of strong recommendation. It's like, hey, you have to read this. So just but anyway, an unforgettable, mind-bending, brilliant novel, according to The Guardian. They're all around us, hiding in plain sight. One could be in the room with you now, just to your left. You could be seeing it right now. But from this second to the next, you'll forget that you did. If you managed to jot down a note, the paper would look blank to you afterward. Okay, that doesn't make sense. These entities can feed on your most cherished memories, the things that make you you, and you'll never even know anything changed. They can turn... That's not completely... Well, they can. Anyway. They can turn you into a living ghost. Make it so you're standing next to your spouse, screaming in their ear, and they won't know you're there. Nope. They're predators equipped with the ultimate camouflage, living black holes for information, able to consume our very memories of their existence. And they aren't just feeding on us, they're invading. But how do you fight an enemy when you never even know that you're at war? How do you contain something you can't record or remember? Welcome to the Antimemetics Division. No, this is not your first day. I like the concept, but the description there I don't like. Just like the whole screaming in their ear and they won't know you're there. It's like, that's not got to do with memory. I mean, it's like the pressure of somebody screaming, striking the side of your face and going into your ear, you feel. I don't think, I also don't believe it's true, the whole, and you'll never know anything changed if you're losing your memories, because there are people that have lost their memories and they know something is missing. They can't say what, but they can still sense it. It also reminds me of something else that, well, I'll get to that in a moment. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, the idea that you write down a note, but then when you look back at it, it's blank. It's like, that's senses. That's not memory, okay? Like, a note is not an external memory such that your memories can, such as something that can wipe your memory would wipe that. No, that's a physical object. You can't just, that makes no sense. Yeah, so I do have an issue with that, and that, I'll do this much. I'm going to put a bookmark on this in the Notepad++ document that I keep track of this stuff in. I'm going to put a bookmark there. I want to look more into this. Because on its own, the idea here, I actually like it. I could see this being an interesting book. I could see myself enjoying this book. However, if it is a no, it's also just changing reality, then it's like, well, okay, now I don't care. Or at least, I don't care in the way you are setting it up for me to care. Because if it's they attack my memory, it's like, I can find that very interesting and would want to explore that. But if it's just now they can alter reality itself, then it's like, well, they got cheat codes. You can't win that. I'm saying, what are you going to do except for try to figure out a way to alter reality yourself? It's like, yeah, so I'll need to look into that. But I could see myself enjoying it. It's just that does concern me. Also, one other thing that I want to mention that I have read some about, and it's actually very interesting, very curious thing. Where does memory reside? Most people would say the brain, but there have been some things where, and not necessarily fully resolved memories, but there have been instances of people receiving an organ transplant, an organ donor, where suddenly they do develop memory. They start with, their personalities change, at least, if not actual memories changing. There are some wild stories about, no, they end up with memories. It's like, and that seems particularly associated with a heart transplant, but that more so in general, you'll see personalities change, where somebody who, I mean, you would even see sexuality swapped is one of the stories that I also seen mentioned, where like a heterosexual woman gets a heart transplant, the donor was a man, and now suddenly she is at least finding herself aroused by women. And it's like, what? Heart is supposed to be a heart, though. Well, unless it is actually encoding certain things in there. And there's also another story where it was like, had no interest in fast food, but after the heart transplant would just crave chicken nuggets, and it turns out that the donor loved chicken nuggets, and it was just... It's just one of those things that the body is far more complex than most people would realize, and that there are other things as well that you start learning about, more of the dynamics and physical characteristics of some of the organs. And it's definitely, even though I'm only a layperson, but it's like, there's no way this stuff is being taught to medical professionals, because it can't be. There's far too much. So it's having to be dumbed down, but the concern then becomes, okay, but is it being dumbed down to the point that they cannot provide effective care? That what they're being taught is wrong enough that's like, no, that can't be the answer. So yeah, but yeah, memory though, it is something that is far more complex than people may realize, and it's not just here. It can be in other places, and in a way that also makes sense, because you like muscle memory, the idea that once you used to say typing, it's like now you don't even need to look, and you can, hey, hang on, now I see the camera. It's like you need to look, and it's like, oh, I want to type this word, and it's just done. It's like the muscle memory. It's like, is that memory actually in the muscle? Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is actually trained there, so when a specific impulse goes there, it knows. And it is also true that we do have the somatic nervous system that I think is more so down here than here, but it is at least in the abdomen, that will handle and react to certain things, because it's a more basic... It's not an intelligent nervous system like the brain is, so there wouldn't be higher order thought, but can actually perform certain actions far more rapidly, because it is a more ancient kind of nervous system. So that, like, withdrawing from, say, touching something hot, that doesn't necessarily have to go to the brain and the back. It can be nerves in your arm, but it can also be that somatic nervous system. But yeah, so this one... Yeah, I'll look into this some more, maybe. But if it is truly, now we're talking about also changing reality, then I'm not gonna care. I'm not gonna care, because that makes it into a cheat code. If it's just memory, then it's like, okay, this could be very interesting, and exploring what happens there. All right, next one. Okay, and I'll close that too. Pachinko. And this is at 5910 about. Okay, and hang on. I just got a text I most likely need to answer, so I'll just pause the recording once I finish doing that. Alright, Pachinko. National Book Award finalist, whatever, by Min Jin Lee. Okay, I got a question while that... Okay, it's finished loading, but I'll still ask this question. So, I do know that for a number of Oriental cultures, I don't know how many, they put the surname first. And that's obviously, we don't do that in many Western cultures. And I do just wonder, is the surname Min or is it Lee? Because, I mean, there's that part of me that, even if you are writing it to an American audience, I would say, go right ahead. If you consider it a point of pride for you, a point of dignity for you about your heritage, that no, you put the surnames first. Keep putting it first then. All right? It's like you don't need to, in something like that, where you are literally putting your name on your work, have it be what you want it to be. All right. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what is up with the large woman's form here, but I just want to point out, we've got 3 here. I assume mother and 2 children. And looking out at, I'm gonna go with Japanese landscape with a rolling valley here that has a fog in it. Part of the reason why I'm saying it's Japanese, well, for one thing, I think Pachinko is Japanese, but it's also, we've got the red sun here, with everything else being monochromatic. Okay. So yeah, and I think that this is also, not that I know much about Oriental dress, but this does actually look, what this, the larger woman is wearing does actually look more like something I expect out of Japan than out of China or Korea. And I have far less knowledge about the rest of the various states there, and cultures, I should say. But what it does seem to suggest to me, this overall image, is that this woman might be actually the mother or grandmother, well, mother to this one and grandmother to the 2 children there. The reason why I'm saying that is how it seems like we have the story is in her dress, right? Because that's where we're seeing the landscape. That's where we're seeing these 3 people down there, down at the bottom of the cover. And it's flowing from them. And she is looking down at them. So I do see it as it's coming from this larger figure. Now, it could be that, that these are the same. It's the same woman in both. But it's still, she is looking at this story that would be either her story, as in these are her descendants, or her story, the life that she has lived. Either way, it could be that. So, and Pachinko, even though, yes, I see that, and I'm first going to think about the, it's not pinball, but it would look kind of like that to some people. It does make me first think of that, but I could believe it's also a name, just a woman's name. So yeah, it's. I mean, it looks interesting. It might be. Okay, it is a novel, but it might be in some ways biographical, which could be interesting. Beautiful. Lee's sweeping 4-generation saga. So we've got 3 here. Of a Korean family. Okay, Korean, not Japanese. In an extraordinary epic. So yeah, okay. We don't have the 4th generation shown here, but it's like so many cues here. I'm not sure how I would have got. Well, the dress maybe. How they are dressed, that may have been the cue that they are Korean, not Japanese. Because that's the red sun there with everything being monochromatic around it. That does make you think of Japan. But still, it's like it's the design of this cover here. It's the matriarch, essentially, the start of the 4 generations, and that looking down and seeing, these subsequent generations flowing from her on her dress here, denoting, she's looking at her interest, but also it coming from her. It's like that. Yeah, that's a good cover design for what is described on the cover. Now let's read the blurb and hope that it's consistent. Poor Queen immigrant family fight to control their destiny in 20th century Japan. Okay, so it is also got it. So the red sun does make perfect sense then. Okay. In the early 1900s, teenage Sunja, the adored daughter of a crippled fisherman, falls for a wealthy stranger. When she discovers she is pregnant and that her lover is married, she accepts an offer of marriage from a gentle, sickly minister passing through on his way to Japan. But her decision to abandon her home and reject her son's powerful father sets off a dramatic saga that will echo down through the generations. I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. Put my impression here. I'm the thing that most bothers me, legitimately, is we're only talking about her, but it's supposed to be 4 generations. Tell me a little bit more. I want to know more about that. I also, there's a part of me that's like, I don't know about this whole maybe, accepts an offer of marriage from a gentle, sickly minister. It's like a minister just traveling through sees a woman who is either not visibly pregnant, or is a single mother, and decides, okay, yeah, I'll marry you, take care of you. It's like, I'm not certain about that one. I'm really not. But it's like, that's just one single point here. It is more so, I do wish that the blurb did continue on to mention more about the 2 additional generations. So after the child, does it say son? Yes, son. I would be more interested. I would be interested in hearing more about that in the blurb. But I mean, I don't think that this story connects with me, but this does. It's a good cover. The blurb, I wish, were larger. Just helping to defend the whole, it's being 4 generations. Okay, tell me a little bit more about that. Like, even just mentioning how, because in early 1900s, but then she moves to Japan, she has a son. It's like, okay, that son is potentially going to be of the right age to either be in the Japanese military before, well, yeah, it would probably have to be before World War II, or, well, actually, no, I take that back, because, oh, wow, yeah, that's true, damn. Because remember, prior to the U.S. getting involved in World War II, and in the Pacific, Japan had already invaded and conquered a fair amount of China, which Korea, the Korean Peninsula, is like right by Japan, so they also would have conquered some of that, I would think. So I just, it's possible then that son would have been in some of those conflicts, would have been in the military. And so would have seen things, at minimum, potentially done things as well. That could actually be quite interesting, because it would then also potentially connect back to who the powerful father was, or is. As far as, like, maybe he wants to try to protect this bastard son of his from some of that. And just, yeah, no, there's definitely potential for this to be incredibly interesting. I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm only guessing at the moment. And this is why I wish that there was more to the blurb here. Give me a little bit more. Because on its own, nah. For me personally, but I can definitely, I could definitely see this between the cover and between that blurb. I could see it being a very good book. I know I said I could see Storybook ending also being a good book. I think this has actually more potential to me. I really do. This would be more of a, I can believe it targets women, but I could see it being a very much a story that if I had a girlfriend or if I had a wife who read this, being like, Jim, this is actually really good, you should read it. It's like, it's meant for women, right? Yes, but it's still a good story. It's like, okay, I'll read it. It's like, I could see it very much, a conversation going like that kind of thing. Storybook ending, I could see that being a bit harder to sell me on, but no, I mean, this, yeah, I could see this actually being very interesting, but I wish the blurb were longer. I do. Because let me also help clarify that, because you might be thinking, oh, well, it's that short because it's, to entice you. Because, see, you're interested. You want to know what more happens. It's like, yes, I am interested. I want to know more about what happens. But you haven't given me enough to make me want to spend the $2 even. Okay? Or it's not actually the $2. It's more so to spend the money to then read, to disrupt what I already expect from my reading schedule. Because I'm in the middle. Yeah, I'm in the middle of what I'm doing assigned reading it. I know what the next book is after it I want to do. And I've got like 5 others. All right. So it's like interrupting that sequence, that schedule that I already have to put this in. That's the greater cost. And I don't want to just build up a library of books that I'm never going to read. Okay, so $2 or not, I don't want to do that. So you have this burden, the standard to meet, and I feel like this is down here. But if more information had that blurb, had that girlfriend or wife saying you should, I could easily see it jumping up here. I could see being up here. I could see being a very good book. But right now, for what is actually being shown to me, I'm down here. But cover impressions, I do like the cover. That's a good cover. It is. It's absolutely a good cover. All right, let's. Okay. That 110, and it was like, we'll do 28. The Dispossessed 50th Anniversary Edition. Okay, so this is an older story. Hardly a problem with that. You know, it actually just made me wonder something. Hang on. Because I'm still, like, trying to... Okay, now I can throw the link in here. I just want to see, because I do actually have that. What anniversaries have there been for my stories? Okay, so... Oh, wow. Okay, it'll be next year before Failure has its 10th anniversary. Because that was April 12th, 2017. Okay, cool. I mean, just it is true. I write the stories and then I move on. For better or worse, that's how I do it. So it is like the idea of their anniversaries. I don't even think about it. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so one thing I do want to point out immediately is the arrow here. The reason why I'm pointing that is this very much looks like electromagnetic field lines, which, yes, you would need to put down arrow to denote the direction there. Because that tells you about other things then as well. It's like that is interesting, but I do... It being 50 years old and how the speckling to the gradients there, that's consistent. You know what? Give me a moment. Give me one moment. Okay, so this has two copyrights in it. The first 1960, the other 69, so it's almost 60 years old now. But this is a 60-year-old book, and it's hard to tell, but there is just... It's in part because this is actually in, like, woven, but there is kind of a speckling around the art on that, so let's... I don't know how well that'll actually survive. The printing inside is not speckled. It's quite clear, but it's just for a cover. No, that actually makes sense. That is like, no, I can see that in something 50 years old. I might actually have other books that would be clearer. I'm just not sure. This was the first that came to mind. Because, yes, I do have some just old textbooks. Anyway, but yeah, it is an interesting... Because it is an interesting cover because of how we have so many things divided on it. I mean, we've got the red and blue of the field lines. We've got... Oops, sorry. I clicked in. Can I... Seriously? Here we go. You got the red and blue of the field lines. You have a blue world here, red world here. You have this red world here and a blue world here. But also notice, this red one has parallel bands, and this one is just squigglies. You've got the figures here, red facing blue, blue facing red, red hand, so, red's there, blue here. Okay, this figure, well, true, blue standing on red, but I do kind of wish that they were also kind of divided. Green seems to be the neutral color between, but it's like, this is actually fairly interesting. And does make me wonder. And with the Dispossessed, it does seem like he has lost possession, has lost position, is lost, is unsure, is stuck between two things. So, I mean, it's for what the title is, this artwork, it tells me two things. One is a classic kind of style to what you want the artwork to be, which might just be because it's the 50th anniversary edition. But is also, feeling divided, feeling caught between two things. And it's also noticed the blue figure and the red figure are both like trying to pull the figure in the middle towards them. one, with a hand on the back, the other with a hand on the shoulder, but both can be a, draw an action to draw them towards you, but it's in two separate directions. Two different directions. So, okay, unfortunately, I don't have any idea what the story is about. I mean, it's using kind of scientific-looking stuff, but that could just been for when it was written. That seems like that you do that and it'll help get people interested. And it is not a generic cover. It isn't, but at the same time, it does not give me any specificity aside from just the confusion as to where I'm going, what I'm doing, kind of thing. Which the Dispossessed can also suggest. So, yeah, it is not a generic cover, but it also doesn't give me anything specific. Yeah. And one of the Atlantic's great American novels. So according to the Atlantic, it's a great American novel. Not just a science fiction writer, a literary icon. Okay, that one of the greats, not just a science fiction writer, a literary icon. So talking about Ursula here. Commemorative edition of Ursula K. Le Guin's Hugo, Locus, and Nebula award-winning classic. First thoughtful work of philosophical science fiction exploring anarchism and capitalism, individualism and collectivism, and one ambitious man's quest to bridge the ideological chasm separating two worlds. Okay, I'm just... because anarchism and capitalism, okay, those aren't necessarily that distinct, at least they're not as intrinsically as individualism and collectivism. So that just seems a little odd there, but anyway. Science fiction classic for the ages. The Dispossessed spellbinding story of anarchist Scheffler, the galactically famous scientist who single-handedly attempts to reunite two planets cut off from each other by centuries of distrust. Yeah, there are scientists that are that arrogant. Anyway, Anaris, Shevek's homeland, is a bleak moon settled by an anarchic. Nope, may still got that wrong. Anyway, anarchy. Utopian civilization where there is no government and everyone, at least nominally, is revolutionary. Meaning no one actually is. And I seriously need to read Utopia for an assigned reading. I'm in the middle of something. I'll try to do that one next. I'll try to do it next. Because Utopia sucks, okay? It's a horrible place. And Utopia and anarchy cannot go along. They cannot agree. Because Utopia is a deeply regulated, controlled state, and it is evil. Okay, it is evil. Let me be clear on this. Right? It's probably the reason why I want to go through it, because it does annoy me how people have attached to Utopia the concept as though, oh, this is perfect one place. No, read it. It's a horrible place. You would never want to live here. You wouldn't even want to live near it, because if you live near it, you can expect that at some point it will abuse you. Okay, seriously, it sucks. Anyhow, it's long been isolated from other worlds, including the mother planet Urus, defined by warring nations, great poverty, and immense wealth. It's like warring nations. It's like everyone's a revolutionary. Okay, let me explain something to you about revolutionaries. They're trying to destroy the system that exists. That is in itself a violent desire. Not necessarily through physical violence, it might be through other means of violence, but it still is. It is inherently violent. Right? Reformation would be something that is not necessarily so violent because it's trying to work within the system. But I'm sorry, but to say, oh, well, they're anarchic and revolutionary. Well, these people, well, they're warring nations. It's like, the revolutionaries are also, like, going to be at war. It's just, I'm sorry, these are a lot more similar than you might want me to think. Now, Shevek, a brilliant physicist, it's also... Okay. A brilliant physicist is determined to unify the two cultures. I also just want to point out, yes, I already said, there are scientists that are this arrogant. It's like, why would a physicist think that they can unify two cultures? two cultures that are so divided. It's like, why? You're not a philosopher. I can understand trying that and being proven wrong, but physicist? In the face of great hostility, outright threats, and the pain of separation from his family, he makes an unprecedented trip to Eurus. It's like, great hostility and outright threats. It's like, you're surrounded by revolutionaries. Threats are going to be part of the norm. Great in any concern for his own well-being is the belief that the walls of hatred, distrust, and philosophic division between his planet and the rest of the civilized universe must be torn down. Okay, now I'm confused. Where does this rest of the civilized universe come into play here? We're talking about two planets. Well, a planet and its moon. How does the rest of the universe come into play in this? I'm sorry, that's actually a major problem, because it's a goalpost moved kind of thing. It's like, what are you talking about now? Seek answers, question the unquestionable, and explore differences in customs and cultures, determined to tear down the walls of hatred that have kept them apart in this landmark of social science fiction. To visit Eurus, to learn, to teach, to share, will require great sacrifice and risk, which Shevik willingly accepts. Okay, no. I'll keep going, but this is stupid. I'll explain why. That sentence, what is contained, that sentence is stupid. Just to be clear, I'm not criticizing the whole book yet, maybe. Almost immediately upon his arrival, he finds not the egotistical Philistines he expected, but an intelligent, complex people who warmly welcome him. Yeah. But soon the ambitious scientist and his gift is seen as a threat, and in the profound conflict that ensues, he must re-examine his beliefs even as he ignites the fires of challenge. Okay. Starting at the second sentence, yes. Stereotypes do exist for a reason. They do. But that doesn't mean that they are always correct. I'm just trying to think of the best way to put that, because it is very reasonable that you may hear things about a culture that is so different from your own that, or just things that you hear that are very negative, but if you go there and actually encounter the people, they might be very wonderful and kind people, completely different from you, but they might still be very kind, even though the culture is so different that you have very little in common aside from your species. Okay, it's like that's, yeah. And that is part of the reason why interaction is very, very, very deeply important. I mean, I've talked about it before, I'm pretty sure. One of the stories I want to tell in the Catherine verse, so my science fiction universe, that is space-based, so that there's travel between, there are planetary colonies and such, is a war story. And part of that will be that different planetary colonies were formed by single cultures because, hey, we need a group to go. Who am I going to pick from? People that look like me, talk like me, think like me, believe like me. Obviously. But once a planetary colony is established, how much contact does it need to have with others? Potentially very little. Like, they can all be their own islands, and only traders would need to go between them. This can be incredibly dangerous, and is why it's a war story, because it can then lead to great conflict because of a lack of understanding, and even dehumanizing those of others. Because you have no contact. You know they exist, but you don't need to care about them. It's like one thing that even occurred to me that I put in my notes, because it's like, oh yeah, this actually I should do, is when in human history people went exploring and started encountering different cultures, well, different peoples, I should say, and therefore encountering different races, they saw the spectrum between them. Okay? I mean, it's like, one thing that it does annoy me, because I've known people that are like this, they think that basically everyone on Africa on the African continent is black. It's like, no, that's not at all true. In fact, as far as the diversity of skin tones, Africa is the most diverse continent on the planet. At least that's one thing that I remember hearing, and I have no reason to think that's false, because it is very tall. Is a very tall continent. And it's taller than South America. South America is the only other continent you could think that might happen to, but South America is not as tall, and I don't think it has quite the wealth of biomes that Africa does that would support the spectrum across the races of just skin tone alone. Right? Okay. So if you were somebody from Europe, or even let's say from Norway, and you decide I want to go all the way down to South Africa, but you're going on land, you're gonna go through Europe going south. So you're gonna see them starting to get darker and darker skinned. You know, like olive skinned, like that you see in Italy, or along any of the Mediterranean. You'd go through the Middle East. You'd go through North Africa, which would look much more like than some people may think. And then as you continue to go down, you'll see darker and darker and darker skin, and then some degree of lightening. I'm not sure how. It's also weird because at South Africa, it's not an easy place to live. So there actually aren't many people that you consider indigenous there. But in any case, it still is. A thought that occurred to me with this war story idea is if you had a planetary colony, that was all a single race, let's just say white, and then a single black person, and I mean like legitimately black looking, not just, not mixed race, but like truly dark skinned. Like think Eddie Murphy, Reginald Val Johnson, Wesley Snipes, things like that skin tone. If they just came, like they're a trader and they just come visiting because they're trading, I think it's perfectly reasonable that when you have a culture, a civilization that has formed, that is a single color, and maybe they've heard about people of a different color, but have never seen it. I think it's perfectly reasonable that you would have some there thinking that that's an alien. And I don't mean like just not of this world, but a different species. Because it's not just skin tone either. You see other physiognomic, is that the term? But there are other physiological differences, like the shape of the nose is different. By and large, that one does certainly vary, but it's like there'd be other things as well. The color of the hair, the hair naturally being curly instead of straight. There's so many things that it would actually be kind of reasonable if you've never seen anyone like this before. You've never had a need to. That maybe it's not even in your books anymore. Be like, whoa, like, are you human? So that idea. So it's like, this stuff. It's like, yeah, because you could see that where it's like there's nothing common here, but being welcomed still. It's like, whoa. Yeah, that concept, I do think it's interesting and valid to consider in a science fiction setting. Putting it another way with something that isn't race-based, but breed. Like, talk about dogs. Imagine you have a bunch of Chihuahuas and then suddenly you throw a Great Dane in there. And if we could actually understand if Chihuahuas were intelligent enough to communicate, they would be like, what the hell is that? That's not a dog. It's like, but it is. It's a different breed, but very different in appearance. Anyway, coming to this, though. To visit is to learn, to teach, to share. And that's the key thing, to teach. Will require great sacrifice and risk, blah, blah. If he is someone with no government, he is not qualified to teach. Not because you need a government to teach, but you need a governing body. You need an authority to decide, yes, you have learned enough to be a teacher. Okay, that's how... Now, in some ways, yes, that is also not true, but it's like, if this guy is supposed to be a great physicist, he had to be taught physics, and somebody at some point decided, like, to get a doctorate, somebody decided, yes, you have earned this. Anaris, there's no one there to make that decision. Because it's all anarchy. So there'd be no recognized authority. They themselves would not recognize any authority. So he would come to Urus, and it would be like, you have no qualifications for anything. It's like, but I can't do this. We don't recognize your education because what is there that we can trust? I mean, it's physics textbook, right? Now, technically, if somebody were to master this, it's like, okay, now I can trust you up to the point of this. But this is an authority. Your government, your world doesn't have an authority because it's anarchist. You would not value this book necessarily, might value another book. Okay, and it's like, can I trust that if I'm on yours? And it's just, so there are certain structural issues here that is, it might just be how this blurb is written, to be fair. But it is I feel the only way I would read this book would be to satisfy how I like different stories, especially movies, that capture the moment and sentiment in time. So here, can I grab it here? I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. No, that's. I got a good one. Oh, maybe it isn't in. I guess it's not in that group. I thought it was. Must be someone else. It's gonna grab Forbidden Planet, which is a retelling of The Tempest. But it's still, there's elements to it there that are very much, this is space age, a space age, atomic age kind of story. And I do find it interesting to watch those movies, to read those stories, and see what people were thinking at the time, because that's intrinsically written into whatever the story is. So I could see this being interesting to read for that. Already it's exposed partially here, is that who is it that's going to try to unify these worlds? A physicist, a scientist, because at the time, so 50 years ago, that would be in the 70s, yes, there was definitely a belief that it would be scientists that could unify the world, because scientific truth, it was taken as being, well, that is true for all people, that's an objective truth, and so that's something that can unify. Kind of like the day the Earth stood still. Now, who's it that they end up... that Klaatu speaks to try to bring the world together. Scientists. Now, there's also the practical matter that some scientists would have an easier time moving across borders than others. But it still is... they're elevating scientists as though, oh, they're the great ones that could solve these problems. In reality, that's not true. Because you would need somebody who's more a philosopher. Because I've known some who are real idiots. And there are also some that, like, you would know as well, because they talk too much, basically. They're idiots. You wouldn't trust them to unify anyone. Unify any two peoples. Plus, there's also the issue that with science, what happens when they're proven wrong on something? Plenty of times, they fight over it, saying, no, we're not wrong. It's like, well, here's objective evidence saying you are wrong. It's like, well, here, we'll look at all these old studies that show that, no, we're right, and here, we'll write up a new study saying that you're wrong, and by the way, we're not going to let you publish, so so whatever knowledge is in there won't be shared. It's like, these are not the people you would want, right? So, yeah, I could see the story being interesting, but it's just, it's got enough red flags to me where it's like, I don't think I'd bother trying even at $2. I mean, this is... Pachinko, I would say, is higher than this for me, as far as its potential to be inserted into my schedule for books to read. All right, now let's see what Amazon has here. You know what? Sure, this one I can already tell this is just going to be some sort of murder mystery. Still can look into that. This looks interesting. And let's go with that one. Yeah, let's just do those. Okay, so we've got The Dinner Party, a pick your poison adventure. Okay, depending that you're actually speaking something to me that I'm gonna like. Depending. Oh, here, let's there. There. Okay. And there. Sorry, it's just dealing with Amazon links is the most annoying. The heck is that? Thank you. Okay, so yes, The Dinner Party, a pick your poison adventure, but a dinner party, fork, knife, napkin, already bloodstained. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's a meat cleaver. Sorry, because I can barely see the handle down here. So that actually, whoever made this cover should not be doing that. Because I'm sorry, I think fork, spoon. I'm thinking this is on a table where yes, there'd be a napkin there as well. But no, it's a meat cleaver. It's a meat cleaver. Like if they had put the hole in here, because sometimes you do see a hole in the meat cleaver because you know, like to hang it on a hook, but you can't see the handle here, because there's a background shadow. It's not exactly a shadow, but there's background to help make Freida McFadden easier to read, which that's good to have there. But it's so obscuring that handle. It's like you can't do that. It's like it is as though somebody just inserted the title, put the author name in here without considering what it's going on top. That they just did it blindly. Yes, that's actually a poorly made cover. Yeah, and hey, if this were actually just a napkin that's already bloodstained, that would still work. Because also, why would you have the meat cleaver next to the fork and spoon? Because the meat cleaver, I don't think you typically take those to the dining table, which is where the fork and spoon would be. It's like, that's something that would stay in the kitchen. But a Pick Your Poison Adventure is like, okay, I remember Choose Your Own Adventure books. I don't have any up here. I'm not sure where I'd find them in the house, but they're in the house. You can look at this. Yeah, 20 possible endings. Okay, this is in fact like a Choose Your Own Adventure, but pick your poison. So, murder mystery. Okay, and also I do want to point out, now what are we seeing in the back here? It's hard to see, but it is a table that's been set. So you've got fork over here, spoon over there, plate in the middle. So it's like fork and spoon on a table. That makes sense. Cleaver does not make sense. You're broke. You have no way to pay your rent, and you're about to be evicted. You could just say you're about to be evicted. Anyhow, fortunately, a friend has offered you a job working as a waitress at a dinner party, an isolated mansion way out on Peyton's Peak. Money will be enough to cover 2 months' rent and get you back on your feet. I wonder if this is the same as the blurb that's written on the page. It's a golden opportunity that will solve all your problems. But the whole thing sounds really sketchy. The money's great, but there's got to be some sort of awful catch. You should probably turn it down, right? So what I don't like is it's a golden opportunity that will solve your problems. End paragraph. But the whole thing sounds really sketchy. It's like, shouldn't that all be like one sentence because it's one thought? Yeah. As it turns out, the choice is yours. You could decide if you want to go to the creepy dinner party or stay home and read a book. You can decide if you want to pick up the disheveled hitchhiker on the side of the highway. You can choose to go left or right at the fork in the road. For once, the decision is entirely in your hands. So what are you going to do? Okay, let me just say this. You get to decide if you want to go to the creepy dinner party or stay home and read a book. No, you don't. I'm sorry, but I would assume that if you don't, it's you get evicted. Story ends. I'm sorry, don't even include that. That's silly. I mean, it's not like Far Cry 4, where if you decide, so that's a video game, where you go, your mother's recently died, you want to find out, because she said something, like there was a last will and testament kind of thing about taking your ashes to this place. You're supposed to do that, you go and do that, and you meet this guy who's the head of the nation, and he's like, wait here, I'll be back in 15 minutes. If you wait, he does actually return, and just, the game will end, because he tells you why that was her last will and testament, explains to you why, and does with the ashes what he is supposed to do with the ashes. And it's like, it actually explains it all, though. Because it's like, yes, the story has reached its conclusion. But if this is okay, it does look like it's the same blurb. Good. Okay. But if it's no, it just, this you're evicted, then it's like, then the story didn't even get told. So no, that I don't like. But the rest of it, no, I can see that actually being fairly interesting. But one issue... One issue is a child reading it. I remember with the Choose Your Own Adventure books, I would try to find... Like, there was one that was, in fact, I know, I hate it, but Finding Utopia. And it did have, in one part of the book, it did have, one page on the next, a drawing of a utopic city there. But if you went through the entire book, there was never anything that's like, if you choose this, go to this page. If you choose this, go to that page. There was never one that would take you there, because there was no way to get to Utopia. Right? I went through and I looked for anything that would bring you there. So, yeah, that's cool, but an adult, as an adult, I want to read the story. If I'm a child, then yes, I'm going to try to find out what all this is and, look and try to find out that. It's like game the system, sort of. Is this a book for a child, though? Well, okay. When I say child, being murder mystery, let's teenager. Okay. Maybe it would be appropriate there. Let me... Oh, that released just yesterday. Cool. Independently published. Good for them. There was nothing here. Okay. Alright. It would have been nice if I could have seen more information on this. As far as what the target is. Okay, yeah. Because if this were targeting teenagers, okay, then I would be fine. But if this is targeting more so adults, then I'd be more concerned. Because I don't know. Well, oh, geez, that's true. I just remembered, I don't know how many adults today. I tend not to think about how many adults today want the childhood experience. Because I already had that as a child. So I'm give me the actual novels to read. So yeah. But if this is a legitimate, no, this is targeting teenagers, then you know what? I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I still think it's silly to have an option where you just don't go. But it is also, I guess, for a child, who's just like going to go through and try to see what it is. I can see it's actually being pretty good. I could. I fully acknowledge that. All right, the good stuff: adventure, SF, science fiction in the grand tradition, and this. Okay. I do kind of wish it wasn't just SF, but actually write out, even just sci-fi. I'm sorry, it just adventure SF. It just there's so many things that are shortened down to SF because you don't want to say science. You don't want to say what it stands for. It's like we can say sci-fi, we can say science fiction. But I do like the appearance here because I mean the styling of this is absolutely what you'd expect is something from the 50s or 60s from a pulp. And that's exactly why I clicked on it. It's like, okay, this looks like it's supposed to be pulpy. So yeah, let's look at that. And is it kind of interesting look? Because you got this, I mean, this is a snake. It's a technological snake because it's got, you got a plug, this is like a plug here. It's a technological snake, but it is a snake. It seems to match this building, so maybe it's connected to the building. But this looks like some sort of creature there as well that's made of made of metal pieces. Potentially is mechanical, but it does seem to have legs with knees on it. Not exactly much of a space suit because the hands aren't covered, but it still kind of looks like a space suit. He has to have the bubble around his head, but he also does have... I mean, that's a ray gun. I can tell because of the design of the tip, but it also is very much styled after a revolver. And it's like, yeah, this is exactly what I expect for a pulp. Alright, we just, this was the Dispossessed. Time space opera adventure from Jack Vance and Ursula K.L. Guin, which is interesting because that other book was 50 years old. It was a 50th anniversary edition that Ursula wrote. So what's up with this then? Is this a collection of stories, or is this actually an old one that's just getting republished? Anyway, okay. Okay, compiled. What? And others complied. No, compiled. It's a typo. I'm sorry. This is hilarious. This is literally, and others complied by the most imaginative editor in SF today. In science fiction today. Complied by editor. You can't even get that right. Yes, 1999 looms near, and yet the stars are still far away. But this anthology brings them closer with more than a dozen of the best science fiction. I'm not going to say SF. It's so stupid. Adventure stories ever written. Among the gems collected here are the New Prime, Moon Duel, The Sky People. That's kind of funny. That's Jack Vance, first one mentioned. But Ursula isn't mentioned in these. That's kind of funny. More than a dozen stories written between 1940 and 1970, so definitely science fiction pulp era. Although also you'd see pulps in the 30s. From these greats, this anthology ranges throughout our galaxy and into the stars. Whether you're revisiting the classics or discovering the stories for the first time, you're sure to thrill to these wonderful adventures across the vast expanse of space. This is still very poorly written. You're sure to thrill. I mean, it's like, thrill as a verb is so rarely used. I don't really like that. I also am not I also don't like that these paragraphs should be one paragraph, I feel, but whatever. It's still, I mean, it's like, you're already screwing up in that way. Okay, originally published in 2013, though. All right. Oh, I just realized I didn't do that. Hang on. I didn't put in the time, so I have to find that later, but I do need to pull together the link and such. There. Okay. So now, 146.25 for this one. See, you've called in dead. Oh, called in dead. I thought it was you called in the dead. But hey, you know what? That's fine. It's still maybe interesting. And grab the link. And this will be the last one, which is good because this video is already getting pretty damn long. All right. All right. Two things really that stand out. One, the E. I don't know why it's on its side like that. I'm kind of curious for why. But otherwise, it's newspaper print. So it's not newspaper print. But the letters are cut out from a newspaper, and you can see the print there. And it's deaths. We can read deaths there. Memory, so in memoriam. That might just be an obituary up there, but this is clearly starting obituary. This is actually wrong. Unless it's supposed to be like, well, no, because this, how that V, one side of it is clearly from a newspaper, the other side isn't. But we don't have something like that here, and so there should be text when you continue this lineup. There should be text on this portion of the A. Okay, so I'm murder, mystery kind of thing. Yeah, I get that, but I'm not sure beyond that. So let's read what it says here. Do not care. Darkly comedic and emotionally abusing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Obituary writer Bud Stanley isn't really living his best life. He's fallen into a funk after a divorce. She left him for another man who, in fairness, was far more interesting. He's not doing his job well. He's given up on dating. And he's about to be fired for accidentally publishing his own obituary one mildly drunken night. So technically the company can't legally fire a dead person. As he waits his fate at work, he does the only logical thing. He goes to the wakes and funerals of total strangers to learn how to live again. I'm good with that. This, I think, is stupid. I'm saying I'm okay with this. This, I think, is also kind of stupid. I mean, unless you keep it up, because that might be a gimmick. I shouldn't say gimmick. That sounds negative, and I don't mean it that way. Unless it is like, in the writing, he himself is like, yeah, she was right. I am really boring. It's like, I can understand that, but it being parenthetical in there, but it just, here it feels out of place, especially because it's not repeated. Not in the same way, because, I mean, though technically it's the company can't legally fire a dead person. It's like, well, he's not dead. He's not actually dead. And you could just put a comma in there. Yeah, he's not doing his job well. He's given up on dating, and he's about to be fired for accidentally publishing his own obituary one mildly drunken night. No, because you aren't the one who decides what gets published. I'm sorry, he's not. There would be, in fact, multiple editors who would actually be in charge of that. and likely including at least one person that would have to be like, wait a minute, he turned this one in. What? He's not dead? Hey, Joe, you... Wait, what is his name? Bud. Hey, Bud, you alive? Yeah? You sent me your own obituary. Oh, I was kind of drunk yesterday. Yeah, no problem, we'll take it out. But can you give us an obituary to put in there? What size? About 300 words. Yeah, I am. I'm sure I got one ready. Give me a moment. Okay, that may sound weird to have an obituary ready, but it is possible that it's like he wrote up multiple, but just has his own, because yes, newspapers have obituaries ready for people. So the news of my death has been greatly exaggerated from Mark Twain. That's because many newspapers already had obituaries written up for him, and somebody by accident thought that he had died or submitted it. Like it may have been he wrote them himself and sent them out to newspapers, but with it also saying, hey, for when I die, here's an updated obituary. But when the newspapers got it wrong, didn't read that and thought, oh, he died. We've been provided with the obituary, we'll run that. So it's like, I regret to inform you that the news of my death has been greatly exaggerated. Like, it does happen, but there are supposed to be checks in the middle. In theory, with that, it's you would just try to find out, is Mark Twain dead or not? The only problem is that at the time that happened, and Mark Twain doesn't live there, it's kind of hard to confirm that, and you don't want to sit on Mark Twain's death. You would want to run that, because that would be huge news. You'd want to run that very quickly. But this is literally, hey, Bud, how you feeling? Okay, why'd you ask? You told us you were dead. I'm not. Yet. But the idea here, basically, this dude's miserable and decides that, you know what, I cover these funerals. I'm going to start visiting some. And it would make sense. I mean, going back to the, what was it? King of Ashes. Going back to the King of Ashes book, how I was saying that, funerals, before there was a fear of death, would have been more so celebration of life. And you do see some people trying to revitalize that today. But I could definitely see there being somebody that if they know about these and can reasonably expect, or maybe just see that, oh no, they're really mourning, they're not celebrating, I'll go to the next one. But no, I could see somebody doing that legitimately, sincerely. And even saying yeah, no, I want to hear, I want to learn about these people. I want to meet you, kind of thing. Even though that can be weird, especially if it is, I want to meet you, but for him, he could just say, I wrote the obituary. And I wanted to come here and try to get to know them through you. That's a very legitimate reason. I could see, because it would only be him, right? But yeah, you're a stranger, but you know what? You're welcome here. All right, because you're showing us respect, showing us yes, let's tell you about this person. You wrote those words; they were nice words, or maybe you only edited the words we gave. Yes, come here. Let's let you hear the stories. And I could see that being very effective for some people to really lift them out of their misery, to lift them out of their melancholy, to see that there is still more for your life. It's don't give up on dating, and even if you are doing it, not doing your job well, it's yeah, there is more to. I could absolutely see that working. That could be a very interesting story, but I don't know. Just some of how it's mainly because of how this is written, right here. I'm not really. Yeah. Holy crap. This, I'll also be honest. To me, this, I know it's not protesting, but methinks thou doth protest too much if you are sharing this many, okay? That's nuts. How much, it's here's this review, here's this review, here's this review. It's okay, you're trying to sell me on the reviews, not selling me on the book. That's a red flag to me. That concerns me. Okay. So, yeah, it's actually kind of funny. I was already thinking, nah, not really. In part, largely just because this is written weirdly. I don't really care for that. there's potential here, but that doesn't mean that this is going to be good execution on it. This is, you're overwhelming me with, see, all these people think it's really good. Don't you think that too? You should think that too. You should absolutely think that too. It's like, dude, calm down. You're being too eager here to tell me I need to read this. That makes me think I shouldn't. Okay? Like, let it stand on its own. By doing that, you're telling me it can't stand on its own. It's only, if it stands, it's because you're holding it up. So that is a red flag to me. And it's not just a contrarianism ad. It's a kind of pattern recognition thing. Where it's just, dude, you're overselling, you're pushing too hard. You're turning me off. It's like, this is bad salesmanship. And it is. To use like a vacuum cleaner salesman for an example. We can close that. Because I have all the links, I just don't have the one time. If you had somebody going in the 50s, door to door, try and sell vacuums, it would make sense that they would be a list of names in the community that they would be like, oh, well, we've sold to them before. But here's the thing. You knock on the door, you're talking to the person. Maybe it's the wife, maybe it's the husband, doesn't really matter. Well, no, if it's the wife, I could see being more likely you'd drop the names, because it's reasonable that more of the wives would know each other. If it is they're the ones that like go out, do the shopping, so they're the ones that would be seeing each other there. The husbands might be more, they go into the city, they're working in the office, so that they might, their circle of friends might not actually be in their own community. But anyway, if you were to start dropping off a list of, here's a dozen people that bought from us, it's like, okay, that's a lot of people, yeah, but I don't necessarily know them, and it's like, you're really trying to push that, oh, all these people think it's good, not it is good. Whereas if it's yeah, I've already sold one to the Livingstons across the street, and a block or 2 blocks down that way, do you know the Abrams? Yeah, very nice people, I sold to them as well. It's like, just 2. You go with just 2, because it's like, hey, do you know Livingston's over there? Yes, I do. Well, I just sold to them. Oh, okay. Because, like, okay, well, I can trust their opinion. And now it's like, yeah, and this is the thing that they really like. This is why they decided, right. Well, the Abrams down there, they've got the 5 kids, so they really need this. So I actually sold them, a little bit larger one. It's like, so you're telling the story there about why this, or at least what I can offer you, why that's desired, why that's a good thing. And they're reinforcements, right? But they're not the whole front line. When it's a dozen names in that, or however many reviews there, you're forming that as the front line, and so they need to protect the story behind it, the product behind it. No, the product should be at the front line. These should be the reinforcements. The reviews should be the reinforcements saying, hey, yes, this is good. It's like, oh, you think it's not going to be good because maybe you don't like the book cover. Kind of what this video is. Hey, no, if you look at my review, you'll see, nope, go back to it. You're going to like it because here's this stuff here that you're going to, so you do that. That's the idea there. But when it's like, nope, here's all this, it's like, okay, you're not telling me that the story's good. You're just telling me that there's a bunch of people willing to say that. And that, I'm not looking to buy them. I'm not going to spend money on their reviews. I'm looking, am I going to spend money on the book? That's the value. That's where the focus needs to be. So. Almost 2 hours. I'm just thinking, what are these? I'm just trying to remember, what of these were actually... Yeah, Pachinko was somewhat interested. Pachinko I can see myself being interested in. And Project Hail Mary, I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. This is me being contrarian, by the way. It fully is. Just hearing some people talk so highly of it because now that the movie's out. And it's just I don't know. It's like people are talking about it too much. And also it's funny because one or two of the people that I've heard talked very highly of both the book and the movie. Which, I mean, hey, it's still good that they're doing that. That's still a positive thing. But they also... those two people I've also heard say that they think that the novelization for Revenge of the Sith is good. It's like, I hate that story. I think it's terrible. So it's like, I don't think I should be trusting your opinion. But one thing that I have heard said is that it in the book, it does get technical. Like, it does go into the science of how, the science and technology of how stuff works. It's like, okay, I will grant that. I'll keep that in mind. That's a positive to me, unless it's wrong. But it's just that there's that element of it feels hyped to me, and that my contrarianism is just being activated by that. And it's like, maybe I don't want to. Yeah. But still, that was a neat cover. I do think if I were to buy a copy of the book, I think I actually would probably most want it with that cover. I of the covers I've seen for that one, that's the one I like the best. All right. That'll be it. See you in a month for cover impressions. Monday, because I'm pretty sure this Monday there will be an assigned reading video coming out. Also, technically later today, because I started up because I'm stupid and had an idea and it's like, hey, I can do this, so why not do it? Because I don't have the time. So assigned viewing streams where I'm going through at the moment. Well, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going through a television series. I want to go episode by episode. And just watch it, start up the stream, talk. Well, watch it, take notes, start up the stream, talk. Just like the assigned reading videos. But instead of for books, TV. We'll see how it goes. Hard to say. If nothing else, it can be fun. Give me an excuse to watch these TV shows. All right. See you next time.